Hello, everyone. Welcome
Jesus, you're screaming.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 10 of Rat Chats. Lionel Messi. We finally made it.
We have made it to double digits. This is quite a historic occasion. You are listening to Rat Chats episode 10 with Rachael, Ryan and
Desmond, Eiffe. I mean, there's fireworks going over the sky. There's flamethrowers. There's graffiti. There's cold. There's ice.
yeah, they're all at a social distance, but we have hired in numerous performers for this occasion. So if you hear explosions, that's just like the pyrotechnics happening in the background. And we're getting is it a 15-foot cake we decided on? That's coming later.
Kylie Minogue's meant to jump out of it.
Kylie Minogue, our number one sponsor, she is going to be here as well. Listen, guys, it's a big celebration. So obviously we had to go hard with the beverage of the week.
Yeah, it's a big one actually. And actually, it was by mistake that we had decided this beforehand, and then we discovered it was number 10. So someone was just showing us the way.
It was a lucky, happy coincidence that we have a beautiful bottle of fizzy, bubbly, rosé, prosecco.
So listen, we're doing it big, we're doing it posh. Here we have, I don't know if you can hear the clicking.
Cheers.
And we're going to have a little sip to celebrate our 10th episode.
God, that's bloody delicious.
I know we've been dragging out the episodes, but we did have that copyright issue, so now we're back.
Copyright issues, and also I just feel like you don't want to oversaturate people with how great this is. We want to spread it out. We want to leave the people wanting more. So that is the strategy.
Like Rachel has this soothing voice. I have this like Kenyan Irish mashup thing going, so just want people to feel it.
It's like too much of a good thing isn't a good thing.
Yeah, like if you eat a cake every day of the week, you hate cake. But if you eat it every Sunday, every once in a while, you love cake. You're like, yay, cake.
That is a beautiful analogy. But listen, this is very exciting to be here. It's actually Saturday night that we're recording this. So it's essentially, this is our big night out. It's happening in our apartment on Rat Chats with Prosecco. Like, this is our date night. We haven't had a date night in a long time.
Probably a few weeks.
No, yeah, well, good, and probably longer.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us today. Thanks for being with us. And Des, I believe you came across a topic that you'd like to bring up.
So a couple of days ago, our washing machine, actually 2 weeks ago, broke.
R.I.P.
It was making noises like there was a gun battle. I'm shocked the police didn't come and storm the corridor to see what was happening. And then it just broke. So the repair guy came in and he was fixing it. I mean, he had to do a whole job taking the drum out. I don't know why they just didn't send a new one. But anyway, it's a brand new machine with just the same shell. But he starts talking to me. There was hailstones. And I said to him, apparently that's the cold weather's coming over from Greenland. The wind starting there. And he goes on about our first topic, conspiracy theories.
Oh, okay. So is he a conspiracy theorist, or you're just talking about them in general?
Well, from what I can gather, he was a conspiracy theorist in this particular topic. He was like, oh, do you know because of global warming, the ice is melting in Greenland and America has nuclear weapons hidden there and they're panicking. And I was kind of like, well, if they had nuclear weapons there, why would that be an issue considering it's the biggest landmass before you hit America from Europe, and they're part of, and Greenland belongs to Denmark, which is part of NATO, so there wouldn't be any issues. And he was like, yeah, but like it's because America hides things, and like the Russians don't know about this. And I was like, and I just felt like he wasn't educated on the topic. He must have just read it somewhere, because I was like, there's something called the Patriot system, which is essentially like some of the biggest missiles in the world that aren't nuclear, all over Poland, Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia, and they're pointing towards Russia. And I'm pretty sure and that's well known. Everyone knows it's in the news.
To be fair, right, can I just say, well, I absolutely didn't know that. And I think you know more about these things than a lot of people do.
But it's in the news all the time.
Well, no, it's not.
But it just bring me on to like conspiracy theories. Like I feel like people are like when they see one thing, then they get into an echo chamber. And when you kind of tell them like, oh, but this is, and I showed him the fact, and he was like, oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. And then he Googled it and he was like, oh, that's so interesting. He's like, that's actually like more interesting. I'm like, yeah, and that's like in the news.
I know. I think people just get really caught up with conspiracy theories because, again, it's something that it's all over. They're all over social media. They're all over online. And let's face it, like, people are just kind of fascinated by things like conspiracy theories, and people love the drama of it.
But you see, I love the way you have to approach it. Like, I love to listen to what people are going to tell me. So I'm listening. Then I just question them. And the more you question them gently, they kind of are like, yeah, I don't really know that. I didn't check that out. And I go, okay, check it out. Let me know. And then when they go to do their research, because you see, social media puts people in an echo chamber. I actually liked a funny video the other day about a guy who was making a joke about Tesla owners, and he was just a standard comedian, but obviously, people who don't believe in climate change had obviously watched this video. And the next thing was all these anti-climate change things being liked on my thing. No, I didn't like those things, and eventually they left my wall. But I can see
it's
how
an algorithm, and so if you're a conspiracy theorist, they're going to throw all these other conspiracy theories at you, and because you're so surrounded by it, you're like, well, God, this must be true because it keeps coming up on my feed. But are there any conspiracy theories that you ever believed or kind of thought might be true, Des?
No, I never believed. I mean, like,
go on.
There's the one that's famous in the world is like we never went to the moon. But when people say that to me, I'm like, the most interesting thing, like, I believe we went to the moon. It's so easy. You just
so easy, Des.
No,
Des
I
does
mean,
it every day.
But I mean, compared, when you look at going to the moon, they create a vessel and they literally use force to leave our planet and then land and come back. Like, they're using propulsion. For me, the craziest thing in the world is cellular data. The fact that you have a device and by a number, you can ring anybody in the world. If we're capable of that, we're capable of going to the moon. Like, I know.
I feel like conspiracy theories, I kind of want some of them to be true because a lot of them are very juicy. But I also think that there's no smoke without fire. Do you know what I mean? I think conspiracy theories are all born from something that could be true, and the annoying thing is in a lot of cases nobody actually knows exactly what happened, or very few people
No, but
know.
I think that conspiracy theories are also people not understanding the topic properly and wanting to get an answer or be involved in that thing. Like, for instance, going to the moon, did people not see that rocket leaving? Like, there were people there. There's footage.
Yeah, but didn't they say that they think that, like, they did it from a TV studio or something? The actual moon landing part was filmed in a TV studio, and there's all this like wild evidence to support that.
Okay, I mean, if someone says that to me, I'll just say to them, okay, can you record a video of me and then send it to someone in another country, and send a 2 gig video, and when it sends, they'll be like, if we're capable of that, we're capable of going to the moon.
Okay, fair enough. The one conspiracy theory that I'm a bit like, maybe, I don't know, is surrounding the royal family and the death of Princess Diana, and the fact that people think that the British Crown had a hand in her passing.
Now, you see, that's an interesting one.
Allegedly.
Like, those ones that, like, there's no facts on it.
Well, there's lots of people who think that... Did you just burp live on air?
I just burped slightly.
This
Prosecco is pretty gassy.
I could edit this out, but I'll probably just leave it in.
Leave it in.
Yeah, but Princess Diana, I mean, a lot of people think it's complete rubbish, and then a lot of people think that it's actually a huge possibility. And if you read up on it, there's kind of a lot of good points on both sides. So it's a little bit like you don't know where you stand with it, because particularly if you watch The Crown, you can see how much of a problem Diana became to the Crown.
But it is important to note that the Crown is a drama.
It's fictional, but like also, and Prince Harry himself said a lot of it is based on fact. So it's one of these things that I don't think anyone can say definitively who did it, except for obviously people who would be in the know from the old Crown themselves.
I mean, that is an interesting one, and I do like those ones because they're hard to prove. But the funniest one for me, it has to do with the vaccinations, where they're like Bill Gates is trying to put chips inside the COVID vaccine. And the people who are posting this are most likely posting this off a mobile phone that has their GPS location turned on. They put their address, and they're posting it on like Facebook, where they've had to create a profile. And Facebook can track where they are, and they're like, Bill Gates want to track us. I'm like, you have a device that's literally a beacon, a homing beacon.
I know.
But
I think people like that, right? The anti-vaxxers, the anti-maskers. Yeah. These are people and they're so convinced that what they believe is right, that it's absolutely terrifying. They truly, truly believe that. And if they want to believe it, I feel like there's no convincing them otherwise.
I don't agree with that. I think that these people are in an echo chamber, and the more we push them away, the harder they push towards it. I'm of the belief of ask them the questions. Let them try to answer every question you ask them. And after a while, when they go to do their research to try to prove their point, one of the best ones is the Flat Earthers. On National Geographic, they have the guys who say that because the Earth is flat, if they have to shine a torch or a laser from really far away, it should be straight. But because the Earth is curved, when they shine the laser, it goes slightly higher. And you want to see the two guys' faces because National Geographic gives them the money to do it, and then they prove themselves wrong. and one of them still is like, no, the experiment was
I
wrong.
think it's almost like, when if you're someone who spouts something for so long, it goes
Yeah,
on
yeah.
about it so much that even if you're like, oh God,
Yeah.
shit, I was wrong on that, they
Yeah.
literally
It's like
can't.
when Daniel said he's
go back on it.
faster than me for years, and now and it's never happened, and now he's like,
Right.
and now he's admitting. But
I will say, right, I think that conspiracy theories are, not important, but I think it's good that they exist, because doesn't it show that, I suppose, humans are naturally curious and they naturally want to question things about the world, and rightly or wrongly, I think that's good. If everyone went around believing the same things and just took everything at face value, it would be kind of a bit of a boring society, and all things might go unquestioned. So even though some of them can be wild and ridiculous, I do think they're important in society.
And I think that's a brilliant point. I couldn't put it better, because Galileo was known as a great conspiracist for all his ideas, and now we know that they were true.
Yeah, there you
And that was Rachel's great conclusion. That brings us to the end of this topic. Very well said, Rachel.
Thank you
So
much.
if anyone knows brilliant conspiracy theories, let us
Yes.
know, because we're kind of short on some now. All of mine relate to like space or COVID. I want to know, like, what's your local one? What's the interesting? Is there a local one in your area
Tell us, and we will chat about it on the next episode
of the X-Files?
of the Now that brings us on nicely to our next topic. We are, of course, over a year now since COVID-19 hit and the global pandemic all kicked off, and here in Ireland anyway, we've basically been on a rolling lockdown for almost, for over a year. I mean, there's a few little breaks, but essentially people have been working from home, doing everything from home, very confined to a few kilometers around their house.
I mean, of the last year, we probably had 4 months out of lockdown.
Not even really, like,
Yeah.
and that was even with restrictions.
Yeah.
So it's been a very taxing, a very trying time for everyone, their mental health. It's been a really, really tough time here in Ireland. So, and I mean, at the beginning, at the first lockdown, everyone was like, oh, do you know what, like, oh, a bit of crack, like, we'll make some banana bread and we'll do all these things to keep ourselves busy. And I think it's kind of reached a state, it's just beyond the beyonds now. People are really, really fed up. But I do think that people are still trying to find new things to keep themselves interested that they can do within their own homes, and taking up kind of interesting hobbies. So that's what I wanted to talk about now, is like kind of different hobbies that you've taken up during lockdown, or even just things that you're doing to keep yourself busy and distracted during lockdown. I didn't really take up much until quite recently. A few weeks ago, I became inspired by someone I saw on Instagram, and I decided to buy myself a pair of roller skates.
Now, they're really cool roller skates. They're like really white and green. They look like really high end, and they're classy.
Thank you.
I'm kind of jealous, but I'm a rollerblader myself. Roller skating's kind of hard.
Yeah, every time I'm like, oh, I got roller skates, people are like, roller blades? I'm like, no, roller skates.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, they're lovely. They're white. They've got turquoise wheels and turquoise laces. It seems to be a bit of a thing. Like, I've seen a lot of people on social media have started to do it, and like, it's very cool. Like, the people I follow are like professionals, and they're twirling around and they're doing all sorts. And I've convinced myself I'm going to look as cool as them when I'm finished. So yeah, like, I mean, I've only gone on them twice. And I've been...
She's not bending her knees enough. I was an expert at rollerblading, but then I haven't done it in
Well,
years.
does rollerblading and roller skating are two different
Well, the fundamental
animals.
of bending your knees still applies.
Okay, well, basically, I've kind of been mainly doing it in the house because I just don't feel confident enough yet to be going outside.
Damaging the floors.
And also where it actually doesn't damage the floor, the new ones don't. Where we live, it's kind of like, if you're skating around, everyone in the apartment complexes can see you. And it's like, I just don't want to fall on my face in front of them. So I've been doing it in the house, but I've been practicing my spins and my turns. And like, I'm really excited about it. Like, and this is something I definitely, I don't think I would have done if lockdown hadn't happened. I would have been doing all my normal millions of things, distracting myself. So it's been really nice to have something new to do.
So you're a roller skater now.
I'm a roller skater.
You want to live in the 50s where you took food to the cars and
I don't know how they did that. Balancing trays
Actually,
of
remember
food.
when we watched McDonald's and
Yes.
the food used to fall, break, they get the
Yes.
orders wrong, so that's why McDonald's started.
That was a liability. Who thought that was a good idea?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no.
Thank God there was no claiming from insurance because, like,
Jesus,
imagine
they would have been screwed.
people throwing sticks when they saw them carrying a lot of plates. They threw the stick and
So
roll
funny.
over it.
But I know a lot of people, like some friends of mine, have taken up new hobbies like knitting. A friend of mine who's a yoga teacher, just likes yoga, has become a yoga teacher and now teaches yoga online, which again,
I love that. I love that idea.
she says she probably wouldn't have done if lockdown hadn't existed. And it's just given people a little bit more time to do things that are just so it's a little bit of a positivity in a kind of a negative time.
Now, according to me,
Oh.
I never baked banana bread, but I was living my life normally. I was taking out a lot of reading, but suddenly a month and a half ago, it just hit me. I was so bored of working out at home. I was in the house working, sleeping, socializing, and working out. I just stopped completely and gave up on the working out, and I just started walking in the mornings, like going for early morning walks, like at from like 6:30, from 7 o'clock, an hour around by the river and the area where I live, and I loved it. It was like an escape, like an adventure, and I love it. And that was the new hobby I took up, walking. Now, usually I'd be like playing football in the evenings, but because that's not there, I can't believe. I used to be like, I hate walking, but now actually I find it.
You
I
need
listen to
something
podcasts,
new.
radio.
Yeah, to keep like things interesting
Yeah.
and something different. And your little walks are very cute.
Now
Like,
they're not as interesting as your roller skating. I'm sorry, like that's kind of
It's
cool.
not,
That was
like-
an investment.
it was an investment into my future as a roller skater. I'm going to make loads of money, so it's
So
perfect.
you can start like going to like the local cafes and say people can sit in their cars.
Yes,
roller skate
I'll
through them.
bring back the 50s like roller dining. Whoop. But yeah, if you guys have done anything different during lockdown, taken up hobbies, have any of your friends done anything crazy, Des?
Some of them have started businesses.
Yes, a lot of people started businesses. Fair
I just feel
play.
like a failure. I'm like, yeah, I started walking by the river.
No. Have you not done anything else?
My friends have started
here, you
full
did-
businesses, and some of them are doing really well. I'm like, oh my god, what's wrong with me? I didn't have that motivation.
Well, listen, and I also think
I didn't know what I was gonna do. Like, I was like,
oh,
what?
well, we have our jigsaw puzzles. That's also something
In
we're going
fairness,
to do.
Rachel, we did take out the biggest hobby that we love.
What?
We started Rachael.
Am I right? Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
So-
It actually was technically before lockdown, but listen, we'll say no more. We really started investing into it.
We did. We got the mics. We got the
Yeah.
cameras. Jesus.
But again,
yeah.
that's because we had the time.
Yeah.
But also, I will take this moment to say that if you haven't had time to take up a hobby, or do you know what, you just haven't been arsed because it's a kind of a bad time,
Yeah.
that's okay as well. You don't have to do 10
Listen, if your hobby has been watching Netflix, I admire that.
yeah, that's fine. That's an achievement
Because
in
this
itself.
is a year actually that I think we will look back on and say, actually, I got time to look at myself, look at my life, evaluate who I wanted to be, where I wanted to be, who I wanted to be with. And I'm just talking motivation things that I don't even follow myself.
Beautiful, Des. Lovely and very well said. And that brings us on to my favorite segment because I get to sing the theme song.
Yeah. Because she gets extra paid. She gets extra
Okay,
money
ready?
for this.
I've come up with this. I've gone really all out this week.
Okay, let's hear it.
It's a rat fact of the day. It's a rat fact of the day.
I thought it's Rat Fact of the Week.
It's a rat fact of the week.
See, she even gets it wrong and she still gets paid. I don't even know.
Listen.
Management.
The money is rolling in. Right, so every week I bring you a fact regarding rats of my choice,
Yeah.
okay? And today's one, it's something that basically I want to dispel some rumors and myths about rats, okay? And maybe
Cool.
clear their name.
Yeah.
Because
Our friends.
a study has been done recently,
Mm-hmm.
and they've concluded that maybe rats are not to blame for the Black Death.
Now, which scientist starts article with maybe this wasn't? Scientists are factual beings. It's either they were or they weren't.
Listen, it was a study published in a journal called the PNAS, and I don't know what that stands for,
See?
but it sounds important.
Conspiracist herself.
And sorry, no, the lead study, Catherine Dean, she's a PhD student. No, sorry, she's actually a research fellow.
You know what
for-
PhD stands for?
What? Pain in the arse.
No.
Oh.
I can't even say it live on air, but I'm sure everybody knows. Anyway,
I
continue.
don't know what it is.
Anyway, continue.
Okay, she's from Oslo Center for Ecology and Evolutionary Synthesis.
She sounds
And
like she knows what she's doing.
basically, yeah, traditionally people thought that the Black Death, which is the plague, which literally went on for 500 years in Europe, okay, and wiped out a third of Europe's population, which is outrageous.
Can I say I know how it spread already? Because I read this article before.
Okay, well, can you just stop being a nerd for a
Okay.
second? You must have been a nightmare in school. Basically, they're saying that actually instead of rats, they think the way it really spread so quickly was through human parasites like lice and fleas.
On people's clothes.
Exactly. Tick, tick, tick. So yeah, basically the fleas or the lice would carry it, and then obviously when they bit into the humans, that's where they would get
So you see, back in the
plague.
day, there wasn't access to a lot of soap, a lot of clean water. People didn't really wash their clothes as often. So lice was pretty common and fleas on people's clothes. So when they went from one village to the next, they would carry those fleas on them, and the fleas would go into other people's clothes. And therefore, that is how they believe the Black Death spread faster. It is believed to have originated from rats, but the spreading of the virus is through humans.
Yeah, so the rats like didn't help the matter, but they weren't like the enemy number one. Do you know what I mean?
So basically, we're dirtier than the rats.
Yeah, and like rats get a bad name. Apparently, they're actually very clean. So I'm
I
glad
don't
that
mind
we
rats.
could take this opportunity to clear the air for the rats
Yeah,
today.
there
Give
you
them a
go.
fresh chance. And in that vein, we will move on to our good rat and bad rat of the week. And I think we should start with bad rat, Des.
Bad rat, bad rat.
Okay, so I'm doing the bad rat this week. As I don't know if people notice, Rachel always puts me 1st, putting pressure on me. You know what? You can turn diamonds through pressure. So,
Oh my God.
so
I can tell that you've forgotten.
No, I haven't forgotten.
Okay, go on.
So my bad rat of the week are bankers.
Oh, go on.
In Ireland, we just had bankers who took people off their mortgage plans, and no one's been arrested. I mean, you get a junkie who took like 800 euros from someone, or maybe was caught with 800 euros worth of weed in his pocket.
Do you mean an addict?
An addict. And they will name him, shame him, put it in the news, and you get 3 years. And then these bankers, they take like, I think they took like 600 million from people, and they're paying the money back to people. And no one's named. It's not in court. And they'll probably never go to prison. I'm like, those are the real crooks. And that angers me. So those are my bad rats of the week. Because if I get angry during this lockdown, I can't do nothing because I can't go nowhere. So I have to try to stay calm. I have to keep my zen in check.
That is a good bad
That's why I
rat
got-
of the week.
That's why I got to sip this Prosecco.
And just wallow in it. Oh, speaking of wallowing, that brings me on to my good rat of the week.
Whoop.
Yep.
She's a rat. Good a week.
Wally the Walrus.
Who's that?
Bit of context. Here in Ireland a few weeks ago, an Arctic walrus appeared off the coast of Kerry down in the south of Ireland. The first of its kind ever to be spotted in Ireland.
So for people who know, we don't have walruses in Ireland.
Yeah.
The Arctic is pretty far away from Ireland.
Very
trust me.
far away. And nobody could figure out how he got here. And the best conclusion they could come with is that he fell asleep on an iceberg, which broke off from the Arctic and travelled across to Ireland. A bit far-fetched, but there you go.
So you see, for those people who love falling asleep, if you sleep too long, you get trapped. Or sometimes it takes you to new places and new opportunities. So
Exactly. So, like, the reason he's my good rat is because he brought so much joy to the country for a week when people are just really down about lockdown. And it was just this really hilarious story of this walrus that appeared out of nowhere, and this hilarious news report that happened the evening he was found of a local down in Kerry. And,
oh yeah, man.
and the interviewer was like, oh yeah, what do you think of the walrus? And he was like kind of a bit eccentric. He was like, oh, and I spotted him on the beach, and all I heard was and he just started doing these crazy walrus.
I have to
impressions.
say, if I would be the people who would make the sound effects of something.
We'll put the sound effects in there
Yeah. And also, at the minute, can we also play I'm a Survivor?
Oh.
Just that bit.
for the walrus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. So yeah, shout out to Wally the Walrus. He has apparently left Irish shores. He has gone over to Wales, and God knows where he'll go next. Maybe to Africa. Who knows?
Wally! Now, Wales is the country, not actually Wales, because we're talking about walruses, not
No,
Wales. the mama.
Wales. In Britain, and you know what? There you go.
So, everybody, thanks again for listening to our 10th episode. We
Woo!
thank you for everything. 1 year in. And
The band is setting up here. We're just getting ready for Party of the Year to celebrate the 10th episode.
Woo!
Woo!
And also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and listen to more podcasts and follow us on Instagram at Ratchats.